Salam, Ma, Shalom, Siemi, Shalom. Greetings, my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the planet, around the earth, the plane, the dome, whatever you want to call it, four corners. Um, I wanted to bring this message, and this is a follow up from when I was on Brother Robert's channel with Minister Yakova. And so Brother Robert last night, he did a good job. He was touching on, are we at the end of our curses? And matter of fact, have our curses ended? And so we can say yes, we could say no. We can say, look, everything is still going to be in the Most High's timing, because look at what they did to Jacob Lance, a 29-year-old shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And allegedly, I say allegedly because I don't know the details, but I'm going to go with what has been put on out. The young man was trying to break up a fight, and then all too often, when the police are involved, somebody usually ends up shot or ends up dead. And this is unfortunate because we have to understand, look, we may have woken up, but we're still in the land of our captors. We're still in the land of captivity. So we kind of have to accept that we're in the land of captivity, but I believe that we've woken up and now we have a choice in terms of how to deal with our captors. See, I believe that we used to deal with them ignorantly. We would say, okay, well, you know what? If I have a problem, I will call the police and they will come and they'll deal with the problem swiftly and judiciously or justly. But see, now that we have started to awaken, and I believe that we've actually awakened, we've realized, listen, you can't be calling the slave patrol to work out problems that we can work out, because that's really calling in the deaths of potentially the victim or the aggressor. So flip the coin when you call the police, because somebody's going to end up in the hospital or dead. And we've seen that. So now we don't have the pleasure of being ignorant about what misfortunes or calamities could happen, because those examples have been demonstrated far too often. And if we're thinking that a different result's going to take place, then you're dealing with an insane people. Primarily, the key word is us as being an insane people. And I'm sorry that may rub people the wrong way, but hear me out. When it comes to the definition of insanity, you've been doing the same thing expecting a different result. And that result never comes about. But doesn't it feel good to stay within our normal perfunctory motions? Doesn't it feel good to say, well, you know what? I woke up and I did the same thing today. And you know what? I've changed the world. Okay, what did you do differently that's changed the world. I don't know. I just kind of stayed out of trouble. I didn't get killed. I could still lay my same head on my pillow at the end of the day and still be alive. I can still I can still dream comfortably and realize that I'll potentially wake up tomorrow. But again, tomorrow's never promised. Not to me, not to the ones listening, not to anybody. Excuse me. And I think that that's where we get a little bit of misconceptions when it comes to this whole process of the greater exodus. See, I like to revisit the greater exodus because really we're in that time frame. See, there is always a buildup in everything. There's always a buildup. You had a few years to do what? Awaken. You had a few years to do what? To start to breathe. The dry bones are starting to come together. That's Ezekiel 37. The breath of life was starting to be in place in the army. It wasn't a man, it was an army. That's what the angel said. He said, look, will these bones live? Will these bones live? And see, right now, we're beginning to live because we're beginning to understand, okay, we had died. Spiritually, we had died. And I'm going to tell you, our death was that we were literally dead man walking, because here's the thing, when a people doesn't know who they are or where they came from or anything about where they're going, they're a dead people. You know, we get so upset about using terms of a zombie or anything else, but you got to understand, for the last 400 years, that's what we were. We were a living zombie. Hey, civil rights movement is done, but guess what? We're still changing. We're still doing what? We're still getting better as a society. Right? Isn't that the same tales that they would tell? Well, don't worry. Any day now, the next president, the next administration, the next election. You know, it really does come to a point in time that black people, we just said, okay, let's step away and let's understand what is going on with us. See, you had to understand, in this era, when most of us had awoken, you know, I gave my testimony on Teo, and I awoke, and I had awakened spiritually at work after reading Deuteronomy 28 as part of my Bible reading journal, and it's now changed to like Oahu Church or something reading journal. I don't know, but how I was doing my daily reading plan, a perfunctory motion of me saying, well, you know what, Lord, I'm doing everything that I believe is right, because my right equates to a six-figure job, salary, income that I'm bringing in. My right equates to a marriage that we're going through the motions, but we're not really living. A family, we're going through the motions, but we're not really congenial or all together. Because, see, we're trying to do and play a part that was artificially assigned to us. And see, when we start to understand, when we're playing parts that's artificially assigned to us, guess what? It never feels natural. We're just going through the motions. And see, we were just going through the motions of, okay, well, you want to know what? Hey, I'm living right for Christ. What does that mean? You're living right for Christ. I've witnessed here and there. Hey, have you heard about Jesus and how he can turn your life around and how he can change you? And, excuse me, and you would have the promise of eternal life. Oh, that sounds good. Okay. But is that going to have the cops not shooting us in the back? Is that going to mean that these lynchings are going to stop? Does that mean that I can be less fearful or afraid when I'm walking around just minding my own business? Oh, these are some hard sayings. But you had to understand, see, I always had said something doesn't really add up when you get saved. And it's not to say that I'm discounting the redemptive power and blood of Jesus. That's not to say that. But you got to understand, and I credit Brother Dana Stevens after hearing his message that he had put on out back on the 24th of August, as his broadcast is on the 25th. And Brother Stevens had said, look, you may say something with your mouth, but your heart may not be into it. Your heart may not be willing to prescribe to what you said. And so as he fights the good fight within his community for his people, I believe that we're done with the fighting, quote unquote. We're done with the infighting, quote unquote. And now we're trying to move on to more pressing and weightier matters that affect how the kingdom is being built. See, I don't think a lot of people really understood when we see the whole Exodus story take place. You see, in Exodus, they actually had a structure. There was a structure. You had Israelites that knew who they were. Because you want to know why? That generation was only a generation removed. It was only a generation removed from the patriarchs. And if you don't believe me, read it. Read the bloodline of Levi down to Moses. Moses is only one generation removed from Levi. or the lifespan of Levi. Because technically, it was really as soon as Levi had died, Moses was on the scene. But see, Moses wasn't just on the scene, he was there. But see, God hadn't used Moses until a time that he needed him to be used. Just think about that. There was an 80-year gap to where the people of Israel, they were suffering, and they were suffering very bad. They were getting taunted. Think about this. Y'all ain't nothing. Who's going to rescue you? Oh, yeah, you came down with that, with a God of Abraham, Isaac, and the God of Israel, because your daddy Jacob done seen something, had wrestled with some angels. But where's he at now? What's going on now? Okay. Now that you've awakened, now that you claim to be a people, all right, I'll credit it to you. You actually see that's what they're doing right now. They're crediting, okay, whatever. You kind of proved something because you understand they actually cannot go back and they can't fight you. They can't fight us on this issue of if we're Israelites or not. I've already told you that. Look, they're conceding the point is just being quiet about it and just saying, so what? We already knew how this evolution was going to take place. Okay, y'all claim to be the people, but so what? What is your God going to do? Crickets. What is your God gonna really do to get you on out of here? Well, hey, I look at Jeremiah, I look at Zechariah, I see Isaiah, and all these scriptures, and I'm gonna tell you that's what applies to us, and this and that. Okay, so what are you still doing here? Isn't that what they say? What are you going to do? Do you understand? They don't care about what God says. I'm just telling you what their hearts are saying. I'm just telling you how their hearts are being prepped. You have to understand, as we're building up in this, they're building up too. Don't think that the enemy doesn't build. They're building up too. But their buildup is different. We're building up for a rise. They're actually building up for a fall. Don't let that confuse you. Their buildup is something different. I was telling you all, listen, you're going to have all these shootings, you're going to have all these deaths because here's the problem. We're still in this, but see, the Most High still has to magnify himself in this. See, the tsunami is still building. What they're doing is they're trying to fortify. Okay, let's put this cement here. Let's put this thing here. Let's do this thing here. All right, yeah. Y'all never gonna get on out of here. If you read some of these comments from these right wing websites, it's so sad. It's pitiful. And it's kind of laughable because you understand. Look, they're thinking, okay, as soon as this all happens, guess what? We're going back to normal. I read one comment today, and it was pretty pitiful. It was pretty pitiful. And this was on an RT publication. And in the comment section, one of the people wrote, Well, we'll get this problem fixed um, as soon as we can start using live ammunition. Okay. See, I tell you, you are actually witnessing their own condemnation. And you have to realize they're condemning themselves. See, it's real easy for somebody to get behind a keyboard, to get behind a webcam, start talking with anonymity. It's real easy. I put myself on out there. I don't. It's a real easy Google thing. You can Google Covenant Awakenings. You can Google the LLC. You can Google everything, and then you'll find me. Oh, that's where he lives. Who lives? Okay, cool. Come on, you can come on at me. I'm not scared. Because here's the thing, I'm not just walking with me. I'm not alone in this. Because here's the thing, I'm walking with the greater power. I'm walking with the greater authority. I'm walking with the person that woke me up, and his name is Yeshua HaMashiach. I'm walking with the person who owned that voice and said, "You are the people," when he woke me up. I'm not just on out here saying, "Well, this is this and this is that." They have to say it because here's the thing: they have to give themselves. They have to give themselves some sort of artificial authority, and they're not realizing that any authority or authorship was provided by the same one who put us in this captivity. See, it's real sad to see that when you don't have any real power, you have to boast yourself up to act like you do. See, when the real story goes down about heroism and things of that nature, they don't like to tell you the real stories of World War II. They don't like to tell you the real stories of World War One. They don't like to tell you the real stories of Vietnam. Oh yeah, we got those black guys. All right, they ran on in there. Oh, they're winning. Okay, send our boys in. Oh, they're winning the battle. Okay, all right, perfect. As soon as they win, bring them back, so we can do what we can congratulate them, quote unquote, congratulate them, and get them some chow, get them some rest, some R, and then we do what? Then we send our other folks out to claim the victory, to claim that they defeated the enemy. But when you actually speak to the Europeans that are over there, because here's the thing, not a lot of us can afford a ticket to go to Europe and to go to those places in Europe near Arden Woods and Bella Wood and those places in eastern France. And those survivors and the sons and daughters of those survivors, they will tell you a different account. They'll tell you a different story that is never published or publicized here in America. See, I don't think a lot of Americans either know or want to know or really realize that the brand of racism, it doesn't really hold that well to the European mindset. See, they understand, okay, yeah, there's racism. We get that, but we don't do that type of racism. We're not that overt. We're not that um, cunning, but we also understand that at the moment's notice, if Africa decides to cut us off, it's over for us. Our resources are done. Our resources are done. We can't cut down all these trees. Man, if we cut down all these trees here and we have deforestation, man, we're going to have mudslides in less than 10 years. We don't have these resources. We don't have these minerals. We don't have the gas like that. And as soon as our taps run dry from Nigerian oil, Kenyan oil, oh man, that little oil field off of Norway, that thing's gonna be dry within like 5 years. So what do you have to do? You have to. They know that they have to supplement. They have to supplement. Look, I'm going to supplement as much as I can by resources from the continent of Africa. So I don't do what? So I don't have scarcity. Because if we have scarcity, then guess what? The market's not healthy, and then guess what? It makes us look like we can't manage our own resources. So for us to not have scarcity, we're going to go to other areas of the world. And then the effects are they have scarcity while we have wealth. So you had to understand, look, we really weren't focused that much in terms of how things are done. We didn't want to focus on mechanics because you want to know why as a dead people really don't think. Dead people are zombies. And I'm not talking about an Tata zombie. I'm talking about the fictional character of a zombie. Yeah, they're making fun of us. Surprise, surprise. Now you know what zombie movies are. Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead. Yeah, you can credit your George A. Romero for all my zombie movie geeks and nerds on out there. But yeah, that's a clear and blatant laugh in your face. You don't even know what's going on. Because see, the problem was for 400 years they got a chance to laugh at us. These people don't even know who they are. These are actually the people. But man, we got them so messed up. They'll never know who they are. Willie Lynch letter. Oh man, we just keep having them work for us. We'll tell them something here. We'll have something there. They knew how to control us because they understood what the Bible was saying about us. Give them something that they could covet. Itchy ears. Make one group of people higher, make one group of people lower. Make the group of people that are higher the dumber group. But you give them more so they can appear what? They can appear what? To be in more of a position of power. right? But then when you have them articulate the issues, they never can. Oh, or if they attempt to articulate the issues, then we go after their defect that we ensure that they had before we put them in power. And if they try to straggle or stay off the topic or off message or off of our code, then we will go ahead and we'll put the screws to them. And if they don't want to have the screws, then they're going to die. Please tell me in the comment section if I'm wrong, because that seems to pretty much be our legacy here in the United States. Please tell me that in the comment section. I'd love to hear. But as I go on, and as I gave you that long anecdote, I apologize for that long anecdote. I wanted to hone in on a couple of key points. And so with these points, I want us to understand great wealth. You know, when I was on the show with Brother Robert last night, the Holy Spirit had said, hey, think about Proverbs 13 through 15. And so I read that for everybody to listen to. And basically to sum it up, man, verse 15, it said, look, it's like wisdom, like knowledge and wisdom. It's like who can compare that to rubies? Who can compare that to the finest gold? We don't understand that we're actually living in an age where we had the negative images placed on us for such a time. And the thing is, unconsciously as a community, we understood that we had to get out of the realm of the negative. Whether or not we had the power to actually do so, that's still to be determined. But we knew that we weren't going to really be able to have that power. But we knew we had to actually work on controlling. Okay, they're always going to think I'm dumb or uneducated. So that means I have to fervently educate myself. I have to fervently continue to ensure that I'm refining my skill sets of being educated, of having the degrees, the certifications, the licenses. Because my shortfall will always be my melanated skin in this society. So I think the studies, and I hope you'd forgive me, but the studies show that this is actually the most educated generation of, quote, African Americans, Israelites, that's ever been here in the United States. So now here's a dangerous situation. You had the tail as a whole, statistically speaking. Statistically speaking, the tail is now smarter than the head. So if that tail is now smarter than the head, we have some problems. Because, see, we were told that no, that couldn't be. And then we said, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Now, obviously, the cost of knowledge is going to be student loans, more student loans, and whatever. And I had kind of already conceded that, look, we probably will never pay these student loans back. And honestly, the more and more that you kind of see society going on, you already knew, okay, we're not going to be paying these student loans back. Because how can you pay off $28 trillion, 29 trillion, almost 30 trillion? How can you pay that off? You're literally going to have a reset. Oh, and this time around, look, black folks are owning guns at an unprecedented rate. See, we used to be told, don't own guns, don't do this, don't do that. And it's like, okay, if I listen to you, then guess what? I'm going to die. I'm going to be genocide and continue to have my genocide. So we've actually had this spirit over us of, okay, well, we need to now understand what's happening and how things are happening, and we need to kind of go from there to ensure that we can not just learn, but we're learning to protect ourselves. We're learning to shop with ourselves again. We're learning to maintain our economy again. We're learning to do things again that had been lost for about 50, 60 years. Because the whole time frame that we had it was meant to really take away not necessarily our quote unquote culture, but it was to take away any type of purchasing power. And then when you take away that purchasing power, then you take away that voice that you would receive from the wealth of that power. But I wanted to touch on this because Genesis 15:12 through 14, it says that the nation that you served, after that 400 years, that nation I will judge. And then after I have judged that nation, your seed will come out with great wealth and substance. See, a lot of us think that this wealth and substance is going to be, carry as much gold as you can, carry all this as you can, put everything, load it on up, put it on the donkeys, put on back of Humvees, trucks, 5 tons, get some flatbed trailers. Make sure that those shipping containers are good. Make sure, especially if you're here in Florida, make sure that you have enough vessels to get those shipping containers on out of there, because you're gonna ship my Rolls Royces, my Lamborghinis. But to be honest, I don't think it's gonna be like that. To be honest, I don't think it's going to work like that. And so I think we had to understand that our knowledge is the wealth. Our wisdom, that's the currency. See, when we know how to do and perform and do for ourselves, we realize that we can have economies greater than Tulsa, Oklahoma. See, Tulsa should be a mark of how great our economy can be when we're collaborating and unified, and we don't let actors in that have the spirit of divisiveness already. See, we had to understand this finally, that not everybody that looks like us has the same mind as us, has the same understanding as us. We had to understand, look, just because you may have the same melanin or maybe even higher levels of melanin, your mindset's all wrong. Your thought process is not what we're looking at. See, yes, were we a broken people? Absolutely. But it's funny how broken things are starting to fix itself. And see, and those things that were quote unquote fixed or a well-oiled machine or was the best in the world are starting to break down. We're not the ones breaking it, but we know who is. Because see, we had declared it. Hey, we know we're the people. We understand we're the people because guess what? We walk by faith and not by sight. See, we don't understand. Here's the funny thing: we truly don't understand how bad things are because do you understand that they will never tell you how bad things are until the very end? See, it's funny that when we think about this, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was just actually last week, it was in a paper. The Secret Service agent has said, look, they were already trying to, back in, I believe it was like June 8th or 9th, when Trump did the photo op with the protesters. See, the real fear was that the protesters actually fought back. This is what they're saying. They were already given this calculus. If the protesters actually fought back and the police actually ran because the police did not want to shoot or engage in shooting their own people, then they would have been forced to retreat. So that show of force was a push to ensure, okay, if this show of force doesn't work, I'm going to have to retreat because that shows that there's a breakdown. See, that shows that the racism isn't well received within the armed forces, within my law enforcement. See, the conditioning of racism, it has to be reinforced. See, you all have to understand how racism actually works, how the system actually works. They have to keep killing us because they have to keep reinforcing that standard. Let's just be honest. Okay, well, somebody's got to die today. I don't know who. I really don't care who it is. But somebody has to die today because we have to do what? We have to reinforce the standard. What's the standard? The standard is we have to reinforce white supremacy ideology at all costs. Hey, well, what about the UN? They're telling us to stop. I don't care about the UN. What are they going to do? Well, what about these other countries? They're telling us to stop. I don't care about these other countries. And see, you have to understand, they're actually building themselves up for a judgment that they're not even really thinking about. See, the scriptures are clear how this thing takes place. The scriptures are real clear. The scriptures show Jeremiah 50 and 51. And I press that because that is really what's happening. That's really what's shaping up. Think about this. If you know that you're one of the quote unquote kings of the north that's coming in to invade, that's coming in to do what you need to do. Well, before we go on in there, I'm going to have to make sure that my people, think, quote unquote, think that we have a vaccine. We have a vaccine ready. We have a vaccine that's effective. Now that we have a vaccine that's effective, guess what? Now we can turn our attention on what? Social inequities. Well, now that we can turn our attention on social inequities, now we can go to the biggest nation that pushes for social inequities. See, I have a black population in Russia. We have the Somalians in Russia. But see, we don't treat them as bad as that. Remember, even China was trying to change its tune real quick. Oh, see, we have these Africans here in China, but we don't treat them as bad as that. How many stories now do you hear from out of China? Zero. Because you had to understand. Okay, wait. We don't need to worry about us. The ultimate scapegoat is the United States. Think about that. Think about how funny that was when those stories had been shut off when George Floyd happened. China and Russia were like, okay, new strategy. We're going to do what? Just sit here, watch the United States, and just say, hey, look, y'all have already done the actions to demonstrate all the stuff that's been going on since 2017. Y'all pulled out of the Human Rights Commission, the UN Human Rights Commission. First, you stopped donating, and then you just left it all together, which means to say that you didn't like the criticism of what you were receiving. You got to understand. You got to understand. I'm giving you all the framework of what we see with the world and what we see with ourselves. If I can be honest just for a second, hey, look, I can't lie to you all anymore because guess what? My actions speak louder than words. So guess what? I'm just going to pull out. I can't debate with you all. I can't negotiate and try to swing this thing to my liking, my favor, because guess what? You all know the truth. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm just going to ignore it. I'm going to ignore it. Do you understand we're not looking at one group, we're not looking at one people, one person. We're looking at the spirit of a nation. See, the sad thing is, all the nations knew, man, we done got drunk off of the cup of Babylon, and this is bad. Okay, now we're coming to our senses because guess what? Something wasn't right in the water. Something wasn't right. Okay, so if they're saying something, oh, okay. And I'm pretty sure in the higher echelons of government, their diplomatic missions are going over to all their embassies and they're saying, hey, please forgive us. Please forgive us for following an ideology that only promoted death and destruction. Please forgive us because we have seen the errors of our ways and we want to turn away from it. And we know that that's going to be the furthest from their heart. But what does it do? It marginalizes the United States. Because you got to understand when the people have already decided, look, I'm going to harden our hearts. Their hardened hearts have actually declared war on the rest of the world. Have you all understood that? Have you all understood what's taking place and how that relates to the rest of the world? And I think it's hard for us to kind of understand that the rest of the world watches this. Oh man, we can't have that happen. Well, no, it's fake news. It's fake news. No, nothing like that happens. You're seeing things. See, we don't even cover it on mainstream media because look, we can't validate and verify our sources. Right? They're throwing all those keywords to say, look, don't listen to those Negroes. They're crazy. And then we say, okay, that's fine. We're just going to keep having our cameras on out where and keep shooting. And now the counter to that is, well, we're going to have our cameras out. Okay, cool. Because all you're going to do is now you're going to indict yourself, just like they did here in Florida, in Orlando with the Salatham Melvin. And then it's, well, I don't want to release that information until after the election season. But you have the information. You're just indicting yourself. But you got to understand, they're leading themselves into their own trap. Because see, the ways of the wicked they always lead to folly. Because when the wicked think that they're doing something, they're gaming the system, they are always leading to folly. But you would understand that if the wicked actually read the Bible, and the wicked would actually ask the Holy Spirit to guide them into all truths, then they would have that understanding. See, the funny thing is, when people try to say, oh, you're Israelite, you're a Hebrew, listen, I'm still saved under the grace of Yeshua HaMashiach. I'm still covered under his blood. The only thing that makes me different is because we understand the curses and we understand who we are as a people. And we understand that now the 400 years, all of our curses have been turned on you all at a very, very fast rate. See, when we used to live in fear and panic, now you all are living in fear and panic. Because there's only so much that you can kind of game the system with. Listen, having the government print out money to put into the stock market, that does not bring jobs back. All it does is just say, look what my computer program can do. That's not wealth creation. That's just a government backed Ponzi scheme that the rest of the world doesn't want to be involved in. And the rest of the world is trying to find out ways to get out of this thing. They're trying to say, okay, where can we hide or shelter our money because we are so exposed. Our exposure is ridiculous. Once they go down, we're all going to go down. And see, the sad thing is they know that. They know that. Oh man, we got in bed big time. But we know that this is kind of now the opportunity to unshackle ourselves. We know that, okay, if these black folks are telling the truth, then we don't want to be on that side of judgment. At least for right now, at least if we can buy ourselves some time. Oh, yeah, because our judgment's coming. Our time is coming. We know that. But if we can kind of have a cushion, we can start to, you know, get a strategic framework together. We can start to strategize and maneuver. See, we're understanding that we're coming on out of here with how the mindset of this world goes. And we can deal with it. See, we don't our knowledge and our wisdom, it doesn't rot. It doesn't have mold. It's not destroyed. It's not destroyed. Because see, this is something that we teach and we teach each other and we show each other and we demonstrate to each other, okay, this is how we need to act. This is how we need to interact. It's not a hard concept. Oh, you're advocating for violence. No, I didn't. I never said that. See, they advocate for violence because they don't understand how a tactic goes when they're wrong. See, it's hard that when they're wrong, usually, okay, I could load my ammunition with live rounds. Because if I'm wrong, guess what? I have the gun. That's it. I'm right because my rifle makes me right. Okay? But what happens when the rest of those nations they start cutting you off? They stop producing, they stop buying from you. That's what we're seeing right now. They stop interacting with you. Oh, I can't interact with you because guess what? COVID-19 and you all are fools about COVID-19. That's my excuse. Yep, that's what I'm gonna. That's the excuse I'm staying with. It's really funny because if you actually understand how the Most High is moving, He's putting everything against them. World trade has been at its worst ever. Its worst ever. So when the money's not coming to the United States like it had traditionally, we're at the breaking point. When farmers aren't getting paid what they need to get paid to maintain, we're at the breaking point. But the thing is, you can't tell them it's the breaking point. Look, it's just a small thing. We're gonna get back. We're gonna build. And here's the thing: how did they always traditionally build? It has always been off of the backs. of Black people. I read an article the other day. It said California's having such a hard time fighting these wildfires because the eligible inmates that are usually on the fire lines are not there. Wait a second. Are you telling me that God took them away? Are you telling me that God was taking away the men of Judah from up out of the storehouses through COVID-19? No, I don't believe that. That's a coincidence. No, no. Mm-mm. And now they can't even control a fire that's burned down one of the most historic fires ever. That's still going. It's still going on even while I speak because it can't contain it. Look, let it burn on out and just let it keep burning, and we'll just have to pick up the pieces from there. No, it's not going to work that way because what are you going to have to be able to get your pieces? What are you going to be able to have the equipment produced? That equipment's not coming back. It's not getting off the boats. No, I'm not going to mess with you like that because I don't want to get COVID-19. Because why? Because y'all don't care about COVID-19. It's a hoax. It's a phony. Call it what you may, but I'm not going to fool with you like that. But you had to understand, see, there was going to be a time and place that the arrogance was going to be exposed. And see, it's sad that for us being a quote unquote evangelical nation, it's sad when they couldn't even realize what was happening to their society. You could just pick up the Bible and read and see, okay, this is what's happening. You could pick up Proverbs and read what's happening. But see, they don't want to tell you that. See, they don't want to tell you that we're not lying. They just said, no, it's kind of inconsistent and it's this and that. Okay, why? Why? Tell me why. Tell me why things are inconsistent. And it's hard. They don't want to tell you why it's inconsistent. They're not going to tell you why it's inconsistent. Because why? The pride comes before what? The fall. It's real simple. It's a real simple thing. It's a real clear thing. But when they do have to ask, and they do have to actually repent and submit to what they were wrong about. I'm telling you, not a lot of people like to do that. That's a hard thing to repent. That's a hard thing to submit. And see, we think that it's a simple process. It actually isn't. Because for 400 years, they have been in the right, no matter what. But do you understand? No matter how much live ammunition they may load, they may have on hand, how many magazines they have available in their arsenal, they're not beating the Most High. And they know that. They know it. But they also know that it's not that they're not beating the Most High. They're more afraid that their generational wealth let me phrase this correct. correctly. They're now afraid that the providers and creators of generational wealth within the United States may no longer be here. That's their biggest fear. We act like they want us to go or they don't want us to go. That's what a lot of people act like. No, they told us go back to Africa. You know, you'll quickly want to turn around and come back to America. And then when you go there and you see, okay, I can do this, I can operate. I don't have to go through all these laws and standards and procedures to do what? To systematically shut us on out. Oh, I just need to go here. Okay, I just need to do this. Okay. Okay. Easy. Oh, I just need to work on that. Okay. Easy. Simple. Yeah, now granted, it's not going to be the easiest because, a lot of those places aren't going to have the same infrastructure. So you may have to show up at places. You may have to go to their government buildings. You may have to practice a long lost art of being patient. And in that patience, practicing the long lost art of humility and understanding. But you want to know what is actually an interesting thing is that when you're patient and you're waiting patiently, guess what a chance you get to do? You interact with the people. You talk to the people. You understand what their thought process is. And in the act of waiting, you actually build. You build more. You understand more. You see how their society is run. And then when you're understanding and you have patience, you know how to present information to them in the way that they can perceive things. See, we already have the tools because guess what? We do the same thing here. Okay, well, I already have the answer. I know what the answer is, but I gotta build things. I gotta present things to my white colleagues so I don't what? So I don't piss them off or, run afoul or turn them off to something that's clearly going to be a benefit. Because how many ideas have we had stifled because, it wasn't quote unquote presented in a manner? It's too quote unquote cocky, too uppity. And then what? A month later, they take your same idea. I'm not the only one that's had that happen to him. I know I'm not the only one that's had that happen to him. Because if you're trying to ever compete in corporate America, you might as well just be like, here's my idea, and guess what? I just want to keep my job. Thank you for keeping the paycheck flowing. I appreciate it. And not getting rid of me on some bull crap. Because that's what we are to them. All right, guess what? Thank you. Get out and out the door. I appreciate the time because you made me some money. Now I'm going to get somebody who's a little bit more manageable, less uppity. But see, they're now understanding that in this time frame, that's all of us now. See, you got to understand when you start to have a people that's waking up, you actually start to have more confident people. That's what they hate. Oh, wait a second. No, 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 no. My property isn't supposed to be this confident. It was never like this for 400 years. All of a sudden, I think we messed up with Cosby. All right, throw Cosby in jail. I think we messed up because they had strong leads, strong black leads for men and women back in the late 80s, early 90s. Maybe we had them watch too much Living Single or Fresh Prince. Maybe we had them see too much positive black role models. All right, well, cue cue Megan the Stallion and Cardi B. Let's get let's beam some more filth in their minds and more denigration in their minds. Oh, that's not working. Uh, uh, uh. We're out of ideas. If you realize they don't really have that many ideas for us, and when you see, you're really starting to see a people that's panicking. They're in panic mode. Don't let them tell you any less. They're in panic mode. And the funny thing is, we can see that they're in panic mode, but they don't want to admit it. They won't want to admit it. Hey, it would probably be easier like this. You probably do it like that. But again, our knowledge and wisdom is more than wealth. So, family, I took you on a long, drawn out presentation today. And if you stuck with me to this point, I definitely appreciate it. I really do. Look, I only say what the Holy Spirit puts on my mind. That's it. If I'm wrong, you think I'm wrong, let me know. I'll converse with you. So, also, if you like what Covenant Awakenings is doing, please like, share, and subscribe. I also have a website at covenantawakenings.com. And you can reach me on my Patreon at patreon.com/covered awakenings if you are inclined to give. Same with the Cash App. And I have those links posted below. And I would encourage you that if you have other thoughts and opinions on this, hey, there's something called Hebrewsphere.com. Hebrewsphere.com. And that's where like-minded Black folks, Israelites, Hebrews, it doesn't matter. Chinese, white people, Japanese, whatever it doesn't matter. Come on in. You can listen, you can understand. But you also have to understand, look, it's a site that's for us and it's created for us. And we're just going to give you the truth. And now, if you don't like the truth, then that's fine. Nobody really likes the truth. But you can see what's going on. You can understand what's happening. Now, I know a lot of you all will probably come through and join incognito with an avatar of a Black person profile. Who knows? But you also have to understand, look, you're not going to be going up in there talking about watermelons, monkeys, trying to bring some storefront ideas. That ain't going to fly. Because you get found out, you get kicked off. Real simple. So if you want to have those racism tendencies, cool, bring it. But you won't be around very long, and then we're just going to keep on doing what we've been doing. It's a simple thing. See, you got to understand that emotionalism that we had back back like 2-3 years ago. That's gone. That emotionalism's gone because we knew that it wasn't fruitful, and that was the main prey that was used against us. Okay, work up the Black people's feelings. Show them this, show them that. Okay. Next. See, unfortunately, that's all you all had. And because now you don't have anything else, that's it. Now you're just cowering, trying to figure out if your job is going to be next in this messed up economy. But for us, look, we walk by faith and not by sight. We understand that our God always provides for us. When times are rough or when times are good, he always provides. And he provides plentifully. So, no, we don't need to be emotional. We understand, look, this is judgment, and we're being faithful to our Heavenly Father. So, with that said, Israelites, whether you're grafted in or of the blood of the covenant, the original, shalom, salama, shalom, siemi, peace and blessings.